Right then, welcome back to another video, another vlog, another little chit chat episode where we're just going to go over something that I wanted to talk about, which was the use of logbooks. If you do, then this will apply to you. If you don't, this will apply to you as well. So it kind of applies to everyone. I just thought I'd give my opinion on, do you need one? Is it beneficial? And kind of just go down the route of that and give you my experience with logbooks. So basically, ever since I started training when I was 17, I've always had a logbook of some description, some sort of pad to write things down. It would always be sets, reps, exercise, and people might write their logbooks out differently, but it's something we use in training to measure our strength. If strength's going up weekly or monthly, our endurance, so we can record our reps, and just something to take note of what we're actually doing in the gym every day, instead of going in and not really knowing what you're meant to be doing. So if you are making your own plans, your own training programs, then this can be very beneficial to you. When I started off training, like I said, when I was 17, I used to pick programs from the internet. Bodybuilding.com was quite a hit when I was 17, so I used to take programs off that from like Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, anyone who popped up. I wasn't really I didn't really know many bodybuilders back then, so it's kind of just, okay, he looks good. I like, how he programs stuff. Let's try this out. Let's try that out. So I tried a lot of programs out when I was younger and went through them, obviously towards the bodybuilding side of things. So it was a lot of four sets of 12. This was all before, I knew anything about progressive overload and, doing top set, back off sets and stuff like that. It was a lot of 4 sets of 12, 2 sets of 10, stuff like that. A few drop sets and stuff were put in there. But mainly I just read onto the internet and just found a basic program, copied it down into a book, and kind of went from there. I didn't really know the use of logbooks and how to use it really. I just enjoyed, I think, writing things down. And I think it was honestly, my memory isn't great as it is, and I never used to remember what movements I was doing, what weight I was using. I was always just guessing the stack and guessing the dumbbells. Obviously I had some kind of idea of what I was doing, but not to the exact number. I think the reason why I've kept using a logbook for all these years, it's like 6-7 years now, is because I enjoy it. I enjoy recording stuff down. I enjoy tracking my progress, especially when I got older and got introduced into, it was strength training at the time. So when I was like 19, 20, I kind of went down the side of powerlifting, strongman, chased a bit of strength for a bit. And the use of a logbook really came in handy, just to make note of, deadlift, bench, squat, what I was lifting, how many reps. That was kind of it. And then next week I would look at it, turn the page and write out what I got that week. I went so on and so forth. Again, didn't really know anything much about progressive overload. I wasn't training for bodybuilding then, really. Obviously I was doing a few accessory movements, but the main focus back then was strength and trying to get as strong as possible. So the logbook really came in handy for using that. Then we went into more bodybuilding style of training. Again, kept the logbook in. Again, was picking programs off the internet, using, again, Jay Cutler, Seth Feroce I did a lot on, Honey Rambod. I remember doing his FST7 training for a while. That was good. I kind of went just down that route of picking different programs, writing them down, tracking it for a few weeks, and then moving on to something else, which I know you shouldn't really do. You can just kind of stay on the same program for years really if you want. You don't have to move things around and change movements every week. There's just no point in that, because you'll see no kind of progression within a movement. So I think the logbook really came in handy towards where I am now, as I literally I kind of fill the logbook with as much stuff as I can, as much writing as possible. You know, the logbook's full of just scribbles, writing, you know, and when we're doing programs now where you've got 7 or 8 movements in a session and doing that 5 days a week, I need to keep notes of what I'm doing, and what weights I'm using on everything. Again, I kind of do have an idea of what I'm doing, but it's nice to be specific. I like to be on the money and consistent as well. So writing out exactly the same each week, I enjoy doing that. I think that's a bit of my OCD comes into play with that, but it keeps me on track for definite. We'll move into that in a bit, but yeah, writing out all the exercises I want to do and need to do, and then going into the numbers that I need to hit for that particular movement, is definitely a beneficial thing about having a logbook. Do I think you need a logbook? No, I don't think I don't think it's necessary to have a logbook. The only reason I'm saying that is because obviously we've seen from the pros, we're going down the bodybuilding route here, and even powerlifting really. Powerlifting, you know, you don't really need a logbook. You know, you're doing your squat, bench, deadlift. They're kind of the 3 numbers you really need. So to, you know, have a logbook and write your 3 numbers down, you can do, but you're going to remember it, I think. And I think it comes down to remembering, you know, can you remember what you got each week? I know a lot of people use their phone to track it, which is kind of the same thing, but having an actual book I prefer. So I don't think you need it in terms of, like I said, powerlifting, where you've got the 3 movements that you need to remember. And then in terms of really hypertrophy, depending on what program you're following, or because I know a lot of people some people don't really follow a certain program. They just go into the gym and don't really think about what they're doing and kind of just pick movements at random, and that works for them. You know, they hit the weights on there, they just make it heavy, and you know, they don't really like to keep track of it, which is fine. I think the logbooking is a very personal thing. It's very dependent on who you are and what you want to get out of the gym, and what program you're following. Like I touched on, why I use it is because there's a lot of movements there. You know, 7, 8 movements a session. I need to keep track of that. I need to keep track of what I'm doing, and then going into now following progressive overload and making sure that we're progressing each week. I think personally it's vital to have something that you're making a note on, whether that be your phone, whether that be an actual book of your numbers that you're doing, because if you're not getting stronger each week, if you're not adding a rep on each week, if you're not making the movement look and feel better each week, there's no sort of progression going on. And that's obviously what we want to go into the gym and do, is progress and get better. So, you know, progression comes in all sorts of different ways, that like I just listed off there: strength, reps, endurance, form. You know, I could spend 4 to 5 weeks on the same weight, on the same reps, but the form is getting better each week. That's a term of progression. But again, we put that into the logbook, and then we go back, once we've done a whole phase, we go back to the first week of that phase, have a look through, you know, how much weight have I put into this movement, how much has the reps gone up by, what does the form look now, you know. I think it's just a very good visual aid for myself when it comes down to using a logbook. I think a lot of it is, again, therapy as well. I like actually physically writing out what I'm doing, ticking things off physically is, again, something that I enjoy doing. And as well, when I used to train by myself, a lot of people call it like their training partner if they train by themselves. When I used to, that used to be your little Bible, your little mate that you used to carry around the gym. And I think as well, moving on now, every week when I write out my program, so I write out my program on a Sunday for the next week, I will write out as well all the weights, all the reps, and what I need to get that week in order to progress. So I'll write down my numbers every week for every session, for that week, sorry. So as long as I go into the gym and tick off that number or that rep, that extra rep that I needed, as long as I tick that off, I know I've progressed. So there's no way you can go into the gym for one session, maybe say it's like, I don't know, incline Smith, and you put the weight on, it feels a bit heavy, and you go, right, okay, I'm not sure if I can do this top set, so I'm just going to drop it back down, and then you write out what you got. When it's already written down in the book, you can't scribble it out. You have to hit that weight, otherwise you're writing did not hit or 1 rep down. Otherwise you have to write that down. So I think it kind of forces me to progress in a way. And I know that I have to. I don't really have a choice. The only choice is to scribble it out and put a lower number, which obviously you don't want to do, because it's a form of, you want to see some sort of progression going, especially when you're going for more weight or more reps. Form's a bit different because you're working on form, and that's fine. Another, you could say, a logbook visual aid again is video. So I like to, if any of you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I post pretty much every day some sort of training footage on training days, and that's again, I must film near enough every movement. It's just become a habit for me to do that pretty much every top set or back off set I'm filming, and that's again just another visual reference for myself to see how I'm hitting the movement. Does it look the same as last week? Is the form better? Am I dragging my elbows? Am I flaring my elbows on this movement? Do I need to keep them closer? Do I need to squat deeper? All these things, you can't see yourself because you're in the movement. So I don't know why people don't film as much as they should. I think they do. I think they should. And I come home after a session, if I have time, and I've got about 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 videos of myself training different movements, and I'll go through and I'll compare from the week before. Does it look the same? Am I happy with it? If I'm not, I'll write down in the logbook that I need to hit that again better, and so on. You can probably get the gist of where I'm coming out with that. But like on my Instagram, it's all laid out every week. I try and do different movements every week just to show a bit different movements on there. But again, I use Instagram to document my bodybuilding journey, which I am, and that is a part of it. I want to, in the next month or two, say I'm doing the movement for I don't know, a 12-week block. I want to scroll down and see my progression in terms of look. Maybe the tempo is much tighter. Maybe the first week might have been a 2-second negative with, I don't know, 40 kilo on something, and then maybe week 12 is like 80 kilo with a 3 or 4 second negative. That's a massive achievement. There's huge progression there, strength and control within the movement. So that visual aid, I think, is very important, if not more. No, I was going to say more important than the logbook, but it's not. I think if you're wanting to progress on lifts and you're wanting to see some sort of progression through a whole training phase, I do think a logbook is, I'm not going to say necessary, but I do think it will help, just to keep track. You're not going to know without writing something down what you got on week 1 when you're in week 12. There's no way. So you'll have nothing to compare. That's all I'm going to say. So if you want to follow it like that, feel free to do that and just work off a hypertrophy, kind of go into the gym and do whatever, pick movements and stuff. But I think if you're following a specific plan which you're elongating out to, 12, 13, 14 weeks for a phase, and you're going to be doing the same movements, the same rep scheme, then logbook I think is very good to have, just to track that progressive overload approach. And I think you've got more of a chance of putting on good size and progressing your strength when having a logbook in place. So yeah, I think I've covered everything really. There's not much else to say on that, other than I personally enjoy using one. I think it's a great tool to have in the gym. I know a lot when I've been to different gyms, and especially at mine, Elite, everyone seems to have a logbook, I think. So I think it is the way forward now for, especially for hypertrophy and bodybuilding, just to keep track and know what you're doing every week, so you can go in without having to think. That's another thing, not having to think when you're in the gym. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people in the past go into the gym and just go looking around, trying to figure out what they're going to do for the whole session. Oh, someone's on that, so I'll go on this week, and someone's on doing that, I don't really want to jump in, so I'll go on this. This isn't free, I'll try that kind of thing. And that's just, although you can get through a session doing that, I don't think it's sustainable in terms of a mental aspect of training, where you want to go in, all you want to focus on when you're training and in that gym is the movements and executing it as well as possible and progressing your lifts. You don't want to be thinking, what next? I don't know, what should I do next? You don't want to be thinking that. You want to be, right, what's next? Cable pull down, let's go. What am I lifting? Okay, done. You put it, how many reps? Okay, and then just so on. So you're not guessing what weight you did last week. So every time you're just focused on the session, you can get in and get it done. So yeah, that's another reason why I like having a logbook. I think this is just a video to say that I like using a logbook. And I do think you should use one. But again, like I've said before, you don't have to. Like if we look back in, the early 2000s, from what I watched when I was growing up, I watched a lot of, the late 90s to early 2000s I watched, was probably the furthest back I went. You don't really see a lot of people using a logbook. But then again, you look at people like Dorian Yates, who I know stresses about having a logbook. He even wrote out all his meals, every single meal what he had. He used to write out. I think we all do this now on computers, phones. We all track stuff on there, but he used to literally write out in his book exactly what he did day to day, training, nutrition, sleep. Everything was written down there. I think there's some copies somewhere on the internet that you can look at, but I think he's a prime example of the benefits it can have. He was a very he liked to do a lot of progressive overload, as you can tell by his training. So yeah. So that was the battery going about 10%. I'm going to leave it there. I think I've blabbered on for enough. You're probably bored of my voice now, but I hope some of you have got something out of this. Maybe you're not using a logbook, or maybe you're not. Maybe like thinking, okay, I might use one. I might try one out. If you need any help, please give me a shout. I can show you how to lay it out, because I think it's very important how you lay it out as well. You want it easy to the eye. You don't want it too complicated on the page. You want to keep it nice and neat, nice and laid out, so you know exactly what you're doing. So just at a glance to the book, you know what you're doing in the middle of a set when you're seeing stars after a 9-plate hack squat. So yeah, if I hope you got something out of this video. If you didn't, then I apologise. I need to up my game. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Until then, we'll see you next week with, I'm sure, another insightful video. And yeah, appreciate everyone watching. If you've got to the end of this 20-minute video of me talking. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and I'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.